Hey guys, so I wanted to give general thoughts and impressions, casually talking about this recent Nintendo Direct and just kind of feeling out and seeing like what my early impressions are. And it's been about a day to think about all of the things that they announced. And let's just talk about what I'm excited for and what we have to look forward to with this coming year or two into 2021 holiday season and 2022. So the first thing that struck me when they started off the direct was the new Smash fighter. I it's pretty interesting because I'm usually really excited to see any kind of character that Sakurai can bring to Smash, but sort of when it comes to other fighters that come from fighting games, I typically don't get all that enthralled because you've seen this character from the same genre still acting the same, and now he's just in the Smash universe. So it's not all that mind-blowing versus a newcomer like even when Sakurai announced Plant, like Piranha Plant. The thing that was so mind-blowing about that character and so many others that are from non-traditional fighting background games is that you get to see sort of how they can be creative with the character and how they can bring like a new moveset to those characters, and that's what gets me hyped. That's what starts getting me to think about like, oh, like the possibilities are endless because they can bring in all of these new really like hidden talents out of these characters that nobody has thought about for years or decades even, and they put them in Smash, and it brings like a whole new life to their franchise and complements Smash well with Smash's kind of quirkiness with their roster of characters. But so seeing this Tekken fighter, I even forgot the dude's name, but that character from Tekken, I really enjoyed Tekken. I played it a lot with my little brother, like back when we were kids, like ages ago on PS2. Really good game, like really fun. But I sort of get a little bit of similar vibes with the way that they introduced like Ryu and who is the other one? Terry. Just seeing those characters come from fighter games, not all that exciting for me personally. All for the same reasons that I just mentioned. But still, nonetheless, it looks super cool. The cinematic trailer was really nice. The dude freaking killed like a whole lot of Smash fighters, just tossing him over the ledge, and like with every sacrifice he gets a bit stronger, and then he gets a demon mode. So that was an interesting new fighting mechanic for that character, and it's still creative in the sense that we haven't seen that before, and I'm glad that it's not just another run-of-the-mill sword fighter. Like, thank heck that it's not another Fire Emblem, just anime Smash character that's gonna take over half of the roster. Fire Emblem's cool though. I do love Fire Emblem for what it is, but I like a little bit more diversity instead of just Smash promoting one franchise just because it's doing really well. So that was just the first 5 minutes of the direct. They moved on to a couple of other titles that I wasn't too familiar with. The next one being like this kind of lost. It's like it reminds me of all the survival horror type genres. Not really horror, but sort of like the Last of Us vibes, where you're going around kind of in this like open sandbox world that's kind of desolate, but you're still finding a path to survive and stuff like that. I don't even know what it's called, but let's talk about and cover the things that stood out to me most. And then immediately next was it was sort of interesting to see Super Monkey Ball. I'm glad that made a little bit of a return, and it had a nice 2001 Space Odyssey like emergence from the side, like Space Baby in 2001, and it even had the soundtrack and everything, and like that was a nice homage too because it came from 2001 Space Odyssey, and it's 2021, and it's sort of like this nice 20th anniversary for Super Monkey Ball. So that was really cool of them to do. It's just like a collection anniversary series that's just like a nice nod to what Super Monkey Ball was and what its culmination of really fun roots were. Because they kind of diverged over time, and I think that's when a lot of people lost interest, but it's nice to see that sort of refresh and like appreciation for that series. So I think I'll probably be playing that a little bit to remember the good times. After that, though, immediately I think I enjoyed probably the best announcement for me personally was the Super Mario Superstars, Super Mario Party Superstars, and it's cool to have that name in this series now in this installment of the franchise because originally everyone wanted to be a superstar. That was the goal of Mario Party. Like that's why you got awarded all of the stars at the end, and then you get the title Superstar. So that was really nice throwback. And I noticed that there's this trend though that Nintendo sort of had throughout the whole conference, and it's like not to criticize them too harshly or anything, but seeing that they can't really come up or at least present a whole lot of new IPs or mind-blowing big video game drops, they're making a lot of throwbacks to all of their roots and their origins for these games that honestly deserved a lot more, I think, creative freedom and respect, because we enjoyed them a lot. And sort of like Super Monkey Ball, Mario Party went down this kind of route that was getting fun throughout the GameCube era from N64, but then sort of petered out and dropped off after like the Wii era from Mario Party 8, and they just introduced a whole bunch of mechanics that were different, but weren't different in a positive, fun way. So it seems like now with the Superstar series, they're going to actually just be using some good old N64 maps, and they're going to be bringing back board games from 1 and 3, and I think maybe even, I think there was one from Mario Party 5 or 6, I want to say, from GameCube. So that looked pretty dope. I hope they bring a lot more content to that game, maybe even offer it as DLC, but I don't want to just bank on DLC like carrying the franchise. I'll still get the game if it just comes with those 5 boards from the old franchises. I honestly feel like it's really hard for them to sort of change the formula at this point because they know what their fan base likes. Everyone's just cried and howled that this is the tried and true formula and they should just stick with it. So really stoked for that. Even seeing all the mini games just refreshed and bringing back like things from Mushroom Mix-Up to the kart racing with the duos where they're pumping the rail carts. Like such good memories, and I totally have my nostalgia glasses on, but it's really nice to see when a game gets this level of treatment and polish, where the old games that you remember so well, although don't age well graphically, they do it justice by polishing it and giving you those beautiful polygons, and keeping the core functionality the same is all that we can really hope for when it comes to this. Like, there's no out of the blue gimmicks that they're gonna put in this Mario Party, and hopefully they took everything from the modernization of their past games and just keep that formula the same though. So it's one of the few games that I think that I was so pleasantly surprised by that I'll pick it up day one, and even in physical too. I really want that in my collection, so that'll be awesome. Anyway, so next announcement, they announced some things that they just wanted to cover more too, that they already had released trailers for. So for like Monster Hunter Stories 2, I have Monster Hunter Stories 1 on my 2DS. That's honestly been pleasantly surprisingly good too. I'm a big Monster Hunter Rise fan, and I played since 3 and 3U back on the Wii and 3DS days. So that franchise has always been really fun, and I'm glad to see like the stories actually kind of deep in stories. I mean, it'd be pretty bad if the Monster Hunter Stories franchise didn't have a good story. So I was honestly surprised for how dark it got at times in 1, and I still didn't beat that game, but seeing this come out and seeing the level of polish that it has on Switch in HD, and I know they have it on like iOS and iPad too, but I'm firmly like a gaming franchise hardware kind of stickler, so I'll stick to seeing it on HD on Switch in due time. What else did they have that was pretty cool? I mean, I guess the last really large main thing that just took the show is what everyone was waiting for was at the like last 8 minutes was the Zelda segment. And well, let's build up to it actually. So they announced some hardware, no Switch Pro actually, but you can say that Nintendo did announce some hardware, just like the Game & Watch for Mario that they had earlier, like I think about like a year already or 2 ago. I totally forget, that was 2020 or maybe 2019 they released it. I don't even remember, but they had this really nice kind of, I guess they do this for anniversaries where they'll make a Game & Watch specific for Mario, and this time they did it for Zelda because it's the 35th anniversary. And it's a really nice nod to the franchise because they actually, I think it's a better value than the Mario one they released because you actually get 3 games. And the thing that's unique to it is that they give you actually a Game Boy game. They give you Link's Awakening on that Zelda Game & Watch. So you get a full color LCD screen. It's a really nice, cute little gold and green package. It has the same like build as the first Mario one. And I'm like a sucker for that retro gold SNES Famicom design, so yeah, I totally want that in my collection. So yeah, I'll probably be picking that up. I think, I forget if they announced like the price for that, but it's probably going to be like $50 too, so you get 3 games in this nice little package for $50. And you get like there has some like new clock functionality where it's like a nice little fidget kind of thing to play with Zelda around the clock dials. That looks pretty fun. What else? So building up to what everyone really wanted, they then announced the Skyward Sword trailer, where I don't know if they showed anything new necessarily, maybe a little bit more gameplay, and it looked a little bit more polished than what they've shown before. So I think they added a little better lighting effects, so that was a nice surprise. When I was first shown that trailer about their HD remake for Skyward Sword, I wasn't all that impressed. I didn't even play the one on Wii. I saw a lot of my cousins play it, but for some reason that one just kind of didn't catch my eye, like Twilight Princess, or even actually, I'll fully admit that I think the most I ever played on Wii for Zelda was Link's Crossbow Training. That was like my favorite jam on Wii in terms of like the whole Zelda franchise. And then the second most played game is probably Breath of the Wild. So yeah, speaking of Zelda, speaking of Breath of the Wild 2, we thought we would get a announcement title or a logo or something. We didn't. We did get gameplay though, and a little bit more cinematic trailers for the game. So I was honestly really happy to see that they actually expanded upon what they hinted at in the first trailer with the whole castle rising up slowly. So they're gonna add a whole nother dimension to Breath of the Wild by giving you floating islands. You can traverse through them, fall through the sky, in exactly like the Skyward Sword HD remake. So maybe they're hinting at a little bit of time travel. I don't know if they're going to go back to like the origins of where Skyward Sword took place, because that supposedly is the beginning of the whole franchise. I think, yeah, from the timeline, if you wanted to play through the game and know its origins, it starts in Skyward Sword. So I don't know if they're going to have connections or throwbacks to that game, but it was also probably really smart that they're throwing out the Sky-related game to the Sky-related remake edition of Breath of the Wild. So I'm really looking forward to that. It showed like a cool, a lot more like fidelity renders and stuff of the gameplay with like Link's new robotic spirit infused hand, and people are speculating that it's like sort of this infection from Ganon and it's gonna take him over, and everyone's just throwing and dissecting and analyzing the trailers to heck, and everyone's coming up with their theories. So that's just been tons of fun, and I can't wait to hear more about the speculation as we get closer and closer to the end of the year. And they tentatively said that they're aiming for 2022 release. Everyone wanted it this year. Everyone wanted it at maybe by fall or holiday season. But given that, you know, COVID was a thing and maybe it probably delayed a lot of production, they just had to push it back. And maybe that's why we didn't even see as much as we did in this latest release. So it's been all over the place with that game. And I totally forgot Metroid. Speaking about delayed releases and whatnot. Metroid Prime 4, again, it's something that a lot of people have been looking forward to years on end. And it's actually, it was recently Metroid Prime 4's anniversary for their announcement of Prime 4. So that was pretty funny. And the only thing that they said about it was that we're working on it. No titles, no trailers, no nothing, no text images about it. But we did get straight into something else that they gave us to hold us off for that time, and that's a new official 2D Metroid. And it's a mainline game in the franchise that actually, I think they said that it capstones the Metroid trilogy from Fusion or something like that. I'm not the biggest Metroid fan, but seeing it makes me want to play all the past games so I get a fresh and new understanding of what's happening in the series and where does it take place and where does the lore go. So like that, that's why video games get me hyped to see that type of stuff come out. And maybe it's something new and fresh for me to play and enjoy that I haven't before yet. I just gotta make the time to really invest in all these different games. If anything, the biggest problem is not having enough time to just get in and saturate yourself and just genuinely just enjoy the new games that are coming out while all your friends and everybody that you know is playing them and you get to talk about the games and stuff. So yeah, it's called Metroid Dread. It was known about for years actually, and that's what people have just been speculating. And seeing some of the fan reactions from the Direct, they were genuinely like in tears. They genuinely have been waiting this for so long that even though if it wasn't Metroid Prime 4, if it was anything else like a spin-off or like Prime Hunters or something like that, like where you throw a ball or whatever, like that was just like a filler or fluff, so many people would have already been finished and just tired of waiting, and they got something so great for it. So that was really nice for Nintendo to give just the Metroid fans something to really thoroughly enjoy in the mainline franchise. So yeah, that just wraps up the E3. That for all of the points and bumps along the way that I enjoyed or that I thought was the most interesting. I can't wait to see what Nintendo's gonna be dropping soon, because I feel like, given that this was E3, Nintendo still has its Direct. It still has its quirky nature of dropping information when nobody's expecting it. It could be at 3 a.m. while we're all asleep, not knowing what's gonna happen the next day, and it's like, oh, hey, Switch Pro, it's a thing. Here's a little Direct, 5 minutes. Enjoy. And it's like, oh, okay, the world's just gonna be like, I guess this is a thing now. So, not saying that that's gonna happen, but they've done that with video games before, that we just, it's like, oh, totally out of the blue. And that's just sort of the good and the bad, the evil with Nintendo, where it's like you can't predict them, and I think they sort of take pride in that. So ultimately, I think that all we can do is just really look forward to the things that we have hints about and just still enjoy the ride. So yeah, those are my thoughts, and I hope you guys have a good day. I can't wait to see what's coming next down the Nintendo pipeline.